Are you okay? It's a simple question, short, casual, the kind of thing people ask without really waiting for the answer, and you've learned exactly how to respond. You smile, you nod, you say yeah without hesitation, like the word doesn't weigh anything at all. You've said it so many times that it comes out automatically, even when it isn't true, especially when it isn't true, because explaining the truth would take too long, and you're not even sure where you'd start. How do you explain a tired that sleep doesn't fix? How do you explain feeling heavy for no clear reason? So you say you're okay and the conversation moves on, leaving you standing there with everything you didn't say still sitting in your chest. You've gotten good at pretending, not in an obvious way. No one suspects anything. That's the scary part. You still laugh at the right moments. You still show up. You still function. From the outside, you look fine, normal, maybe even put together. But inside, it feels like you're constantly holding something together with your hands shaking, hoping no one notices the cracks forming underneath. You wonder sometimes if being okay has just become a role you play because it's easier than being honest. There are moments when you ask yourself the question instead. Late at night, when everything is quiet and there's no one to perform for. Am I actually okay? And the answer doesn't come right away. You sit with it. You feel around for it. And what you find isn't a clear yes or no, it's exhaustion. A kind of emotional fatigue that makes even small things feel heavy. You're not falling apart dramatically. You're just slowly wearing down. And that almost feels worse. Because there's no obvious reason. No single moment you can point to and say, that's when it started. You tell yourself other people have it worse. You minimize your own feelings because they don't look serious enough. You're still here after all. Still moving. Still surviving. But survival isn't the same as being okay, and you know that. You feel it in the way your patience is shorter than it used to be. In the way joy feels muted. In the way you dread questions about how you're doing because you don't trust yourself to answer, honestly, without unraveling something you're not ready to face. You've noticed how often you distract yourself now. Noise, screens, conversations, anything to avoid sitting alone with your thoughts for too long. Because when you do, they get loud. Not dramatic thoughts, just honest ones. Thoughts about how tired you are of pretending. Thoughts about how long you've been carrying this quiet weight. Thoughts about how you don't remember the last time you felt genuinely light. You miss that version of yourself, but you don't know how to reach them anymore. People assume you're strong because you don't complain, because you don't break down in front of them. They don't realize that silence isn't strength, it's just another way of coping. You learned early on that being low maintenance made things easier for everyone else. So you became good at not asking for too much, not needing too much, not feeling too much out loud. And now you're not sure how to stop. Sometimes you wonder what would happen if you answered honestly. If you paused and said, actually no, I'm not okay. Would they know what to do with that? Would you? There's a fear there, not of being judged, but of being seen. Because once you say it out loud, it becomes real. Stops being something you can brush off or downplay. It means acknowledging that something inside you has been hurting for a while. So you keep choosing the easier answer. The safer one. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later, when things slow down, when life is less busy, when you're more stable. But later keeps moving further away, and you keep adjusting to carrying this feeling like it's just part of who you are now. You adapt. You endure. You tell yourself this is fine, and maybe that's the most convincing lie of all. There's a strange loneliness in pretending to be okay. Not the kind where you're physically alone, but the kind where no one really knows what's going on inside you. You're surrounded by people, yet you feel separate from them, like you're watching life through glass. Present but not fully participating. You wonder if anyone would notice if you stopped pretending, or if they'd just assume you were having a bad day and wait for you to go back to being normal. You don't want attention. You don't want pity. You just want someone to ask the question and actually mean it. To stay long enough for the real answer. To not rush you into reassurance, but you're not sure how to ask for that without feeling like a burden, so you stay quiet again. There are days when you almost convince yourself that you are okay. Days when things feel manageable, when you laugh and it doesn't feel forced, when the weight lifts just enough for you to breathe easier, and you cling to those moments hoping they mean something. hoping they prove that this is just a phase, that you're fine, that you don't need to worry. But then the feeling comes back, subtle and familiar, and you realize those moments were pauses, not endings. You don't think you're broken. You just think you're tired of holding everything together by yourself. Tired of being the one who's always fine. Tired of answering a question with a lie because the truth feels too complicated to explain. You wish it was easier, to be honest. You wish being okay didn't feel like something you had to earn. So if someone asked you right now, really asked, "Are you okay?" maybe the most honest answer wouldn't be yes or no. Maybe it would be, "I'm trying. Trying to get through the days without losing myself. Trying to keep showing up even when it feels heavy. Trying to be okay in a way that's real, not just convenient." And maybe that counts for something, even if it doesn't feel like enough yet. Because pretending to be okay takes energy. And the fact that you're still here, still trying, still feeling, even when it hurts, that says more than you think. You don't need to have it all together to be valid. You don't need the perfect answer. Sometimes, just admitting that you're pretending is the most honest thing you can do. And maybe one day, when someone asks you that question again, you won't feel the need to lie. There's a moment you don't talk about, because it sounds small when you say it out loud. It's when you realize you've been pretending for so long that you don't remember what being okay actually felt like. Not the surface level kind, not the kind you show people, but the quiet kind, where your chest doesn't feel tight, and your thoughts don't feel like they're constantly circling the same worries. You try to remember when things felt lighter, and the memory is blurry, like something that happened to a different version of you. That's when it starts to scare you, not because you're overwhelmed, but because this has become normal. You've noticed how careful you are with your words now, how you filter yourself before speaking, how you instinctively soften your feelings so they don't make other people uncomfortable. You don't want to be too much, you don't want to ruin the mood, so you keep things shallow, even when your thoughts are deep and heavy. And every time you do, it feels like another small part of you goes quiet. Not gone, just unheard. You wonder how many unspoken feelings can pile up inside a person before they start to feel distant from themselves. Sometimes you feel guilty for feeling this way at all. You look at your life and tell yourself you should be grateful. Other people are struggling more. Other people are louder about it. And yet that doesn't erase what you feel when you're alone with your thoughts. Pain doesn't disappear just because it doesn't look dramatic, and pretending you're fine doesn't make the weight lighter. It just makes it lonelier. You carry that guilt quietly too, adding it to everything else you don't talk about. There's a quiet hope you don't admit to anyone, a hope that someone will notice without you having to explain, that someone will hear the tiredness in your voice, see it in your eyes, and stay long enough to understand. Not to fix you, not to lecture you, just to sit with you in the truth. But hope feels risky now, so you keep it small. You keep it hidden. You act like you don't need anyone to see past the "I'm okay," even though part of you wishes someone would. And maybe this is where you are right now, not okay. Not falling apart, just existing in between, carrying more than you let on. Doing your best with the energy you have left. If nothing else, let this be said. The fact that you feel this deeply means you're still here, still aware, still human. You don't have to have the right words yet. You don't have to be ready to be honest with everyone. But at least here in this moment, you don't have to pretend.